My name is Shuguang Leng. I'm an associate professor at the University of New Mexico Comprehensive Cancer Center. My research focus has been on the combustion particles. There's multiple sources that generate combustion particles. And in the past few years, this wildfire smoke become a major contribution to air pollution, particularly combustion particles. And also, I'm from Cancer Center, so I study cancer, like a cancer incidence, cancer survivorship. So it's very natural for me to start to ask this question, whether wildfire smoke affect any cancer-related outcomes across the entire cancer continent. So for this particular study, we leverage a national cancer screening cohort. It's called a PLCO, Prostate, Lung, Colorectal, Ovarian cancer screening trial. So that trial was a randomized trial to study certain cancer screening reduce cancer mortality or not. Specifically, focus on those 4 cancer types. So 150,000 people back in 90s, and large subset consented to be involved in the geospatial linkage study. So we linked the wildfire smoke into their physical addresses and then tested whether wildfire smoke is effective with any cancer incidence or not. So the cohort was followed, is still being followed, but the data we use is up to 2018. So that's the entire setup of this study. So in terms of limitation, I think this is a location-based measure. So location-based measure is really where do you live, for example. But if you drive 100 miles away to go to work, that's probably will be slightly different, your exposure. So I think that's one limitation that we like to mention. There's additional thing, for example, cancer development does take a long time, like 3 decades, 4 decades, and the smoke assessment, the earliest smoke assessment we can get is in 2006 based on the satellite images. So the results we find is really unlikely that wildfire smoke is causing, is involved in the cancer initiation. It might involved in the cancer promotion and the cancer progression. So that's something we really like to follow up with these results to do more mechanistic study to figure out. Well, when I saw the results, I was really happy to see lung cancer risk was affected by wildfire smoke, right? Lung is the inhalation, it's the path of exposure, right? So if you want to see something, lung cancer is something you really want to see. Especially within lung cancer, there's multiple histology. And we do see adenocarcinoma, which has been shown to be sensitive to air pollution, is strongly associated with wildfire smoke. But we kind of also puzzled, why wildfire smoke is also linked to bladder cancer, for example. And the magnitude association with bladder cancer is strongest among all the cancer types we tested. So I think we have some explanation for that, because when the lung are exposed, those particles get deposited in your lung, right? But also the carcinogens, such like pHs, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbon, as well as some heavy metals that sometimes can be carried by those particles and get carried into your lung as well. So those will be absorbed into your blood circulation. They can reach distal organs. That's why I think there's a non-lung or extrapulmonary organs get affected. But for bladder, I think I have a more specific explanation for that, because carcinogens, either as a parental type form or the metabolites, the way how they get excreted out of your body is really through your urine. So that's how bladder get affected. Yeah, that's I think 2 things might be relevant. One is the carcinogen and into your body. Second is inflammation caused by the particle exposure. But that's something really need more, I would say need another cohorts to replicate. Also need some additional functional relevance or mechanistic study to follow up. I think awareness is very important. Awareness at multiple levels. For example, people need to know this is not an episodic issue. This is not a transient issue. It's not, I just exposed for a couple of days, not a big deal. No, actually, you are exposed to that multiple days a year and multiple years. So the cumulatively, there will be create some issues, for this study is cancer issues, right, down the road. So people need to be aware of that, take actions, but also at a higher level, how they can regulate this and how they can prevent more burning. I think that's some question really need the efforts from the entire society to work on. And, more research also needed to understand the mechanism, also understand, for example, what kind of tumor or subtype of tumor is most sensitive to this. That might have some profound impact down the road. For example, the cigarette smoking rate is dropping right now, right? But if this wildfire smoke doesn't get controlled, so in the coming decades, it might become a major driver of cancer burden. So that will have significant impact on the medical system. For example, cancer screening. Now we're only screening for lung cancer. We're only screening for cigarette smokers, right? But what about if you live in an area that are affected by wildfire smoke almost every year for 20 years? What's your risk, right? If you have a better understanding of that, I think that will lead to some changes in the lot of aspects. Another thing I like to add is, for example, source control is very important. We haven't touched on that, but source control sometimes is a natural reason, right? Sometimes it's non-natural reason. So how to really at a much higher level, I mean, as an individual, right, as a member of the society, you can do something, right, to help. But at a higher level, what kind of efforts are needed, to really reduce those large wildfire. I think that's something the whole society need to work together.